Alright, what's up guys? It's finally Tuesday, so I get to continue pulling my engine. I still got to get out these side engine mount bolts. I got to tie off the transmission cables, as well as tie off the slave cylinder, and then it should be able to come right out. I also want to get it in the garage on the engine stand and start tearing it apart and see what went wrong. So here we go. Alright, so I got the car jacked up on stand, so I got the wheel off, and those are the two little bolts I'm talking about. These guys, I always forgot to pull those out. Another thing, these rotors are looking pretty nasty. They're starting to develop a bit of a lip. Definitely think it's time to replace them. I think I'm going to go just slot it next time. No drilled as well. Alright, car's back down on its wheels. Next thing I want to do is tie off these shifter cables, just tie them up over here out of the way. I'll just go with some string. And then I got to pull the airbox cover, or well, the airbox mounting plate with these two bolts over here, and kind of try and shimmy this slave cylinder around so it's out of the way of the transmission over here. So I'm going to get to that. And then after that I'm going to start hooking up the engine load leveler and the hoist and everything, and we can start pulling her out. Let's get to it. Alright, so I got the hoist all set up with the load leveler, so I got to get the chains on and attach them to the motor. I got the power steering pump tied off out of the way. I got the airbox holder, well, the old airbox bracket, slave cylinder all moved out of the way, and I got the transmission cables tied off. I also took off the top cowling so that the wastegate over here can clear, as well as the manifold. So it looks like all I got to do is just hook up the hoist, and it should be ready to pull her out. Alright, just got it out. Engine bay's looking pretty empty. Might give her a power wash or something. A little bit of exhaust over here. I don't know if that's from my dump pipe or maybe the exhaust downpipe's leaking a little bit. Regardless, it's out. It's over here. So now I'm going to pull off the transmission. I'm going to jack it back up. I'm going to bolt on the engine stand and then lower it back down. I should be able to push it in the garage and start breaking it down. So I guess I'll do a little small walk around now. Get the 5-cylinder tubular manifold, LGSpeed, genuine Tial, MVR44. We got our Holset HX40 with a 67mm billet wheel right in there. It's a pretty massive turbo. Barely clears the manifold here. It's got the 20 cm exhaust housing, so I shouldn't have any exhaust back pressure issues. Got the M56H with the Quaife differential, limited slip. Not much else to it. Here's the modified thermostat housing for my intake manifold. You can see I basically just welded it out of 45. We got some 10 AM bungs for crankcase breathing. And then, just the serpentine assembly and the timing belt assembly. So let's get it on the stand and start yanking it apart. Alright, so I have a Sachs 707 pressure plate on the car with a ceramic 6-puck. I got this all from Southbend Clutch. They repinned the flywheel and everything, re-drilled new bolt holes. So yeah, it's a great clutch. It should be good for around 800 foot-pounds of torque. I won't be making anything near that. I'll probably be around 500 to 550, but you know, it grabs pretty good. It's kind of on and off, but not too bad. You can slip it a little bit. Alright, so this is the proper bit set to take off the flywheel bolts. As you can see, they kind of look like they're Torx, but they're actually not. They're triple square spline. So I'm going to pop these out right now. And the Volvo are the M12, which is this one. And as you can see, that fits in there a lot snugger than Torx, and you're not going to go stripping these. I've used Torx on these before and I stripped them. Well, almost stripped them, and it almost turned into a big nightmare because those things are torqued on there hard. Alright, engine is on the stand. Started working on some of the oil pan stuff. I got the 12AN turbo drain off. I got the oil cooler off, which just hooks up to the oil pan, and these are the coolant lines. So next I'm just going to start taking out all, I think there's 30 or so oil pan bolts. I'm going to take all them off, drop the pan, and hopefully we'll see what's wrong. Okay, so I got the pan off. So the reason I'm pulling this engine, it's a used engine that I put some H-beams in, just to, you know, keep the car running and whatnot while I was, you know, building my forged engine on the side. But unfortunately I had some issues with the pickup clogging with dirt and debris that must have been falling down through the block, probably because it's a used block, a lot of carbon and buildup and stuff. And what happened is in the first 10 miles of running the engine, it got clogged, and I lost oil pressure, and I think that might have damaged the bearings. Just looking in here, you can see some dirt and debris. There's a lot of bronze in there too. I'll try and get a better picture of it because it's not really showing up that well on video. But looking under the engine, the pickup wasn't clogged. The caps look pretty decent. They're not rainbow or anything. I'm gonna pull them off next and see if any of them, you know, are spun. Alright, I'm gonna start pulling off the Holset HX40 Turbo at 67mm billet wheel. I have the feed disconnected, the drain disconnected. I loosened up some of the bolts, so I'm going to go ahead and start removing those. I decided to try out these like reduced size or reduced clearance, whatever, manifold nuts and studs. They suck. Don't buy them. Just get regular ones. Alright, so I got the turbo off. It's a Holset HX40. It has the KTS 4031 67 by 84 millimeter billet wheel. And then on the hot side, I have a 20 centimeter exhaust housing. It's twin scroll. My engine's not twin scroll, being a 5-cylinder, but that doesn't matter too much. And then for the turbine wheel, I have one off the H1E. It is a 68 by 84, I believe, or 86. So this basically makes this turbo a 67, 68, but you know, without all the exhaust gas pressure issues that some of the smaller turbine housings have on the Precisions. Alright, so this is my LGSpeed manifold from Sweden. I bought it off a friend, look for Joe, also known as Hussein. Basically the collector was rotting out a little bit here, so I had all that repaired, a new flange welded on. I got it ceramic coated. It's been holding up really well. My only complaints are the ceramic coating. I've had it coated twice. They coated it the second time for free because for some reason I keep getting a ton of surface rust. I'm gonna call them up again and see what they think this time. I literally just got this coated over December, and basically all it's been doing is just sitting outside. The whole point of the ceramic coating is to prevent the rust, so I don't know what's going on. I got the Tial MVR 44mm wastegate. I have the coolant ports hooked up and everything, 1-bar spring. Eventually I want to get a 4-port boost solenoid and start controlling boost that way, but right now I'm just using a regular 3-port. It's working pretty well. I also have down here a bung that's closed up for exhaust gas temperature, and also another bung over here that's closed up for exhaust back pressure. Eventually I want to add those sensors. Alright, I got the timing belt cover off. I'm going to pull off the harmonic balancer, then I'll start pulling off all the timing stuff. I got the water pipe off, some other general stuff back here. I got off the cam sensor, the crank sensor. There's a big mount here for the torque mount. I got that off. All the plug wires. I got off the accessory bracket, which is down in this box. Alternators over here with all the other stuff. Just starting to pull everything off, organize it, box it up. So next I'm going to get the timing belt off, harmonic balancer, and then probably pull the head. Alright, I'm going to start pulling the timing belt. I'm going to pull off the hydraulic tensioner. Well, first I'm going to untorque the harmonic balancer bolt. I'm going to pull off the tensioner, and then I'm going to pull up these last 2 bolts down here. And then I can pull this off with this puller set I got. Just Pittsburgh, you know, I'm not going to blow a ton of money on a bolt on a puller set. All right, I got the valve cover off. Cams look pretty good. There's a tiny bit of scoring on some of them, but not really. They only have 1,000 or so miles of them. This engine's had so many spun bearings and so much metal in them that, you know, I assume they might have a little bit of scoring, but it's nothing major. You know, nothing really detectable with my finger now. Here you can see the Volvo anaerobic sealer. They don't use a gasket. They use a sealer that dries in the absence of oxygen. It's kind of a pain, but whatever. So next I'm going to pull the cams off. They just lift right out. And then I'll start pulling out the head bolts, which we can kind of see are down there. Alright, I got the cylinder head off. Head gasket looks great. To be expected, this block only has about 50 miles on it. I don't see any scoring of the cylinder walls. So I don't know, maybe I didn't spin a bearing, or maybe it was the very, very beginning of it. I'm probably not going to pull the rods or the rod caps tonight. If at all, really. I'm just taking this whole block to the local scrapyard and bye-bye. So that's probably it for today. Maybe tomorrow, the next day, I will, you know, get it all figured out and see what happened to this block. But regardless, I'm going to get the cylinder head over here, which looks great on the top and bottom, off to the machine shop to get hot tanked and ultrasonic cleaned and whatnot, as well as the oil pan over here. So until then.